Good afternoon. Where are you? Everyone in Zoom, tell me where you are. Hi. Take a deep breath. Everyone, a glorious deep breath. It feels so good to connect with yourself, to take the type of breath that has you celebrate the blessing of your breath. The fact that you woke up today, that you were given the breath of life was a blessing, is a blessing. Every day you wake up is a blessing. And every day is a new opportunity to create something beautiful with your life, to bless other people, to forward your vision, to forward your movement, to make a difference for the difference makers, to create a legacy for your family, to be a healing force on the planet, to what is yours to do. Write it in the chat. When you wake up every day and you're on the right state of mind and the right state of heart and you're connected to love, praise, and gratitude, what is it that you are celebrating? What is it that you're motivated for? Write it. What's your why? What would have you feel passionate and alive every day? Simply, it doesn't have to be some specific big mission that you feel is yours to steward, although it may be that. You may know why you're here and what you're up to, and what you feel that life has asked from you specifically, to how you're meant to use your hands, your voice, your heart, your skills, your mind to do something in the world. But it can also be very simple. Why do you wake up every day? What's your why? And for those of you on Zoom, please come on video so I can see you. We can be together. So nice to be with those of you that are. Ilana, your background is very fun. She's got some very magical, mystical background happening. Way to make life fun. We get to decide how life gets to be. We get to decide if it gets to be fun. You have to create it. Life is not inherently fun necessarily, but it will be fun if you say it gets to be fun. If you want your work to be fun, you get to make it so. The thing is that nothing can change in your life, but you can bring a different energy to it, a different perception, and everything will change. You might have a particular perception in a relationship you have, whether that's with another person or with your business or with money. And if you just simply change your perception, the reality changes around you. Rather than wanting the world to change, the thing is that the world, as you see it, your reality is based on what you believe and what you say about the world and yourself. I'm not seeing you all right. This is about participating in your life. And it's a good opportunity to reflect. Are you really engaged in your life? Are you fully present and engaged and participating in your own life? Are you consciously creating in your life moment by moment, day by day? Do you have a vision that you are bringing into your mind, into your heart every single day and letting it move you and letting it lead you and having it direct how you use your time, your energy, your attention, your money? Being willing to get out of your comfort zone, being willing to do something new, something different because you have a vision that you're connecting to. If you have goals or intentions that go into your journal, I just led a group coaching call right before this. And we were doing an assessment on the last month, this June. We were doing a month assessment on how everybody successfully forward their movement, their vision, what they're up to, what they said was important, the states of being that they said were important for them to embody this month. And it was beautiful because actually everyone in my group had made big forward progress and were in a completely different space than they had been even at the beginning of the month, because that's the power of intentionality. But even though that was the case, we still got to see that some people with some of the intentions and goals, they had to look back in their journal to see what they had wrote, which is a problem in and of itself, because if it's somewhere in a journal, that means you are not living it intentionally. You have to be, it has to be front of mind every day. It has to be how you're making decisions. It has to be how you get out of bed in the morning. Right? Because if you just put some nice idea in a journal and then forget about it, nothing's really going to happen. You want to have your intention be what's leading you every day. Reflecting at the end of each day, do I feel that I fulfilled on my goals today? Goals not just being specific outcomes you want to create, although that's part of it, But goal also being, my goal is to see and be only love, as an example. Well, you reflect at the end of the day, was I loving? When you think about in the morning, then you're already priming yourself so that when a situation might arise that would react in you to being unloving, you've already made the intention to be loving. You've already made the intention that you're going to see every brother and sister, every human, every person that is in your life, whether that's children or beloveds or colleagues or clients or people and whatever, however you engage with someone in a day, you already set the intention that day and every day that you're committed to being non-judgmental and being loving no matter what. But if you didn't do that, then what is easier to happen is that you're going to fall back on your traumas and your habits and the ways that you typically would react. This is the power of living intentionally. Today's theme and topic is about spirit-led leadership. And so it's this dance of being guided, but also being the creator, the acknowledgement that me and the creator are one. Okay, to be guided and to let spirit lead your life does not mean that you just say, I'm not responsible. No, it's actually a very deep sacred responsibility to be in alignment with higher principles and to be really discerning and clear and integrous about how you forward your movement every day, your vision every day, how you become the hands and voice of the divine, right? How you are bringing yourself into the world to be a blessing. It doesn't matter what work you do. You are here. Every single one of you are here to awaken and then to share those gifts with the world. And how they get shared, look, infinite ways. But you are here to be a blessing. Okay? You are here to be a blessing. And to do that, you have to actually first bless yourself and recognize that you yourself are blessed. This is part of the being guided, being led by spirit, is the recognition that there is a force, an infinite, benevolent, all-powerful force that wants you to be thriving, that wants you to only know joy and peace and not suffering. That's the truth. And the reality that you've made that includes your fear and your suffering, your lack and your limitation, that's what your job is to detach from and to recognize that it's not real. It can seem so real. I know. It seems so real. So what does it mean to really let spirit lead your life? You know, it's like putting spirit in the driver's seat and you're the co-pilot. The co-pilot is actively engaged, actively participating. The co-pilot in a plane, if we're using the metaphor of a plane, a pilot and a co-pilot, the co-pilot is not sitting there asleep. The co-pilot is in response to the pilot and is fully engaged, present, available, and doing whatever is needed. So you can think of it like that. There is a divine purpose for you, soul purpose, divine destiny that is encoded in you, that spirit knows. And you are a part of spirit. You are not separate from spirit. Spirit lives inside of you. And your main job is to get out of the way, is to prepare your vessel, to prepare your mind, to cultivate your mind, your heart, your emotions in such a way that this divine principle can be guiding you in your life. But this is the active participation part, because while no matter anything you've done, no matter how much you've been an asshole, no matter whether you have things that you regret, no matter if you feel like you've hurt people, no matter if you feel like you've been fucking off, if you feel like you've been apathetic rather than passionate, like no matter what, you've never truly disconnected from spirit. And nothing that any human has ever done could ever actually make them not an innocent, beautiful child of the divine. So it's just a matter of seeing yourself that way and to stop condemning yourself to lack, to scarcity, to lack of intimacy, and start to see yourself in the world newly. And so the beautiful thing is that it doesn't matter what you've done, you have the power and you must make the choice today and every day of how you're going to live and what your purpose is. My foundational purpose is to let spirit lead this show. And so then my work is around becoming a clear and open channel for that. My work is around listening for that. And my work is being willing to say yes and move when an idea drops in or guidance drops in. The thing about spirit and your purpose is that a lot of the times what's wanted for you is not convenient. It might not even match up with what you think you want. Sometimes what you think you want is not actually your purpose. This is where discernment comes in and really connecting. Like, why do I want what I want? Why am I going after this thing? Why am I creating this thing? Am I forcing this? Am I doing this out of fear, out of anxiety? Lately, I've been having this completely seemingly random idea come in that doesn't match up to anything I've done. I have no knowledge of. I had to look up what the word was when I was meditating and this thing dropped in and I was like, wait, I've heard of that, but I don't really know what it is. And so when something like that happens, now this like feeling, this word has been dropping in, there is not some big vision attached to it. There hasn't really been a plan, but rather than me saying like, why, that's not me. It has a relationship to politics, and I've never considered myself someone to be wanting to participate actively in politics. It's not a natural, like, I don't feel a bunch of passion around it. I don't see I don't have a vision around it. I support my friends who are participating in politics in such a way that will make a difference. And I love that and I support that. But I say that because the fact that it is completely random is telling, like, it's not from my ego. And so sometimes that will happen. And so my work and what I'm encouraging you to do as a practice is be willing to say yes. Now, yes does not always mean, now let me go out and figure everything out and do something about this. In this case, I've just kind of stayed curious because there hasn't really been much of a next step. There hasn't really been but what I could have done is been like, I don't want to do that. That's no energy. And I even noticed that come in a little bit because that was the habitual, that's the reaction. So it's okay if you have a natural reaction to something, but then be willing to soften and open and say, I am willing. If you hear something like write a book and your first response is, what would I write a book about? Or, oh, that's too big, or I don't have time, or just acknowledge that, hold that part of you. Okay. And then return to your openness and say, you can say, Spirit, if you really want to write a book through me, I'm available for that. I'm willing. And then you might feel or hear, depending on how you receive your instincts, or somebody might show up in front of you who's talking about how they spend an hour writing every morning. And then you might feel that like gut response. We all kind of have a different way that we hear truth, but you might hear or sense something that is encouraging you to say, go out on a retreat for a week and just without any distractions be available for writing. Or you might hear to sit down every day. But this is very different than saying, I should write a book. I need to write a book. I need to make myself do it. I'm going to sit down every day and do this. There's a very different energy from when you feel like when you are thinking you should do something out of force, because if you didn't, then what, you won't be successful, or you won't have the fame you want, or you won't have, what is it? Right. So very different to say, I should do this so that it will make me money, as an example, versus I am feeling in the deep part of myself that Spirit wants me to write a book in this example. And you'd be willing to say yes. I like to think about us saying yes to the goddess, because the part of Spirit that speaks to you is the feminine part. The masculine part is holding the pattern. And so it's like saying yes to the goddess, right? For me in Egyptian mysticism, that's Isis. There's many different deities where the Holy Spirit in Christianity is it's the same feminine principle of the voice of God, your mother, the one that's helping you succeed in this life, the one that's guiding you to your ultimate success, to your legacy, to your divine destiny, right? The divine mother wants you to win. wants you to thrive, wants you to be so happy, so fulfilled, wants you to use your greatest gifts on behalf of the world, for the world, to not hold back anything inside of you. You know, I don't know about all of you, and I think I said this in yesterday's call, but I've been teaching a lot lately, so I'll say it again because it's worth saying again, that something that really moves me is the recognition that when I take my last breath on this planet, which I have no idea when that will be. Now, I intend for that to be an elder age because I taking great care of myself spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically. You know, I do mantras, which slows down my breath rate, and the less breaths you have per minute, the longer your lifespan. One example. I've been eating clean. I take care of my mind, and I recognize that what my source is, and that it's the quality of my mind and my emotions that will either make me sick or well. And even though I think that I'm setting myself up for a long life, none of us have any idea. You know, because we've all known powerfully spiritual people or very healthy people who do die young. We don't know what our soul signed up for. Right? So we can do our best to intentionally increase our lifespan and live the best life, but we don't really know. And with that being said, I have a relationship to death that's not one of fear. That's one of peace, knowing that I'll go when it's my time and that you'll go when it's your time. And I don't have any feeling like when someone dies, something's wrong, no matter how old they are. Now that I can still grieve that there's a loss of that presence in my life in a body, but I believe in eternal life. I believe our soul just continues to have different lives and different bodies. And so that there's no real loss at a higher level. And that gives me a lot of peace. Now, of course, when someone I love dies, like I still miss having my dad in physical, but I also don't have any energy around it, like something is wrong anymore. You know, at first I was upset by the pharmaceutical industries and the cancer industry, and I was in all of that, and I could see what was broken and wrong with our systems and our food system and the insurance system and all these things. And that's relevant, and it's good when we do have energy around something, it can show us an area where we might have work to do in our service, right? But I also have peace about it because I recognize that was the path his soul chose. He chose that. He chose to die. Not consciously, but there was a choice. Just like you are choosing right now whether to be happy or whether to be depressed. You are choosing right now whether to be prosperous or whether to be in financial strain. It doesn't seem like a conscious choice, but there is a choice. And that's what you want to start to look at is what's my purpose that's actually leading, and what is my underlying choice that I'm making every day? Because you're making a choice every moment. And the world, your results, the people, how you see the world will show you the choice you've been making. That's the purpose of the world. It's like this projection of your inner world, because the world is different for everybody based on your own perception. And you will see the choice you've been making based on what you're experiencing. In fact, I want to read something to you from A Course in Miracles today, which is a book that I've been reading in the mornings. I'm streaming on Instagram. The Course in Miracles book was my base for the phone. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Now my teacup is, look at that. There's always a solution. I love how Marie Forleo says, everything is figure outable. So I'm going to read a part of this. And it's talking about how, like I just said, the purpose of the world is to show you yourself, to show you what you're thinking, what your perception is, what you believe about yourself and the world. And it's also saying that perception is a result and not a cause, meaning your perception, how you perceive, is the result of that inner choice that you've made and your belief about what it means to be alive and what your purpose here is. Okay, so if you believe in benevolence and you believe that God is good and the world is good and that you are here to thrive and to truly succeed and that you have everything you need, that's going to create one perception. If your belief is that the world's not fair and life is hard and that you're alone and that no one's going to help you, that's going to create another perception. right? If you believe in unity and connection, or if you believe in separation and aloneness, different perceptions. So perception is the result, and then based on how you perceive is how the world will show up for you, and whether it'll be miraculous or whether it'll be fucking hard. And it's saying that, and just this really moved me. It says, the world you see but shows you how much joy you have allowed yourself to see in you and to accept as yours. And if this is its meaning, then the power to give it joy must lie within you. I'm going to read it again. Right? And the whole passage was talking about the choice that you must make, whether you see holiness and hope and you're joined with life and you see this connection, or if you are looking through just judgment and separation and fear. But this last line, the world you see, right? Because the world, it looks different to everybody. You think there's a world, but the world is based on your perception and what you're bringing towards it, to it. So you can't say the world is just full of fear, because another person's going to experience a world full of love based on where they're standing, based on what they're holding, based on what they're believing. The world isn't just a way. The world is what you make of it. So the world you see but shows you how much joy you have allowed yourself to see in you and to accept as yours. And if this is its meaning, then the power to give it joy must lie within you. So all to say, if you want to experience a joyful world, you have to bring the joy to it. You have to see the joy inside of yourself. You have to accept and receive the joy of life, of spirit. That is your birthright. That is your natural state. And this is why we come together on retreat. One of the reasons why we come together on retreat is so that you can actually unleash your joy and come into the natural state of receptivity, where you realize and remember and receive all the goodness and all the grace and all the blessings that are right there for you if you're just standing in the right posture, if you're standing in the receptivity posture, rather than looking through what's wrong and what's missing and what's broken and I'm not enough and the world's not enough and this is hard, which is the opposite of receiving. It's the opposite of joy. You cut off and block all of your aliveness and all of your life force and your vitality, and your power just gets cut off in that. And then you're trying to create from lack, and then you create more lack, and you wonder why you're not getting the love or the money or the success or the whatever that you want, or at least it's happening, but it feels hard and it feels exhausting. And why we come together and retreat is because when we're together, we can anchor into a higher state and a more centered, as like anchored state of our true being. And the more you return to your true being, the easier it is to yield your power for creation. And the more that you return to your true being of peace and joy, the more that you will be guided. You cannot be guided when you are standing where spirit is not. Spirit, which is love, abundance, joy, peace, is on one side of the pole in terms of polarity, duality, and fear, judgment, criticism. This is on the other side of the pole. Now, when you're over here, it's not that spirit goes anywhere, it's just that you cannot hear spirit anymore. So then you make things even harder because you maybe have the intention to be listening, but you're so wrapped up in your emotions that you're not in your power, and you're also not being guided. So the more that you return to and anchor in and stabilize states of joy and peace with the intention of being spirit led, with the intention of listening to the higher force, to your heart, let's call it, the more easeful your life will be. And retreats together, when we come together, are such a powerful way to do that, because we lift up the energy. Like Love Day, I'm remembering, I hope it's okay to share this, but you came on retreat with me in January. And when you came, you were in a really bad place and a bunch of stuff that was really hard. You had just lost your dog, and you had really, we're not at peace with it. It was the opposite of peace. It was like deep depression. And then for a lot of us, when we get into states like that, I know I'm like this. It's like, I want to push away. I do the opposite of connecting. I do the opposite things that would bring me to more peace and joy. I literally create more because I want to stay so stubborn I want to stay in my feelings, which isn't actually honoring grief. There's a difference between honoring grief, because true grief would have you want to stay. It would be an honoring of life, which would actually have you want to stay in connection, to be more of a celebration of life and a recognition of the transition of life. So grief is sacred, but don't confuse grief with depression and then getting stuck in a downward spiral and pushing people away and cutting people out, right? Grief is beautiful in its holy form of just acknowledging the sacredness of life and the transition of one form to another form, and the transition that you go on in your own life when somebody or an animal that you were sharing life with is no longer there in the physical. And so there's a grieving of, in a way, a part of you dies, but there's a celebration, because anytime a part of you dies, something new can be born and created. But what was so beautiful, Love Day, the reason I bring that forward is because there was the version of you that arrived, and then there was the rebirth that happened on our retreat together that returned you back to the truth of who you really are, which is playful, joyful, vibrant, fun, imaginative, silly, wanting to serve, wanting to make a difference in the world, super in your heart, super caring. Like, you went from the world sucks, why would this happen kind of energy to me. And that's the power of coming together on retreat, this is one of the main reasons I do retreat, because we need this. And the thing is, the more times you're in spaces with people that are holding a higher vibration, a higher frequency, and mirroring to you your beauty and your greatness, the more you'll stabilize at these higher states, right? It's a process, but it's like, you can never really forget fully that state of joy, of peace, of celebration. It lives in you and it's easier to access, and you're less likely to fall so far the more that you experience those states, and then of course stabilize them in your day-to-day life. And that's the intentionality that we're talking about, of what's your intention and your purpose every day. And so I'm going to speak more about spirit-led leadership, but I just want to take this opportunity to invite you all to come and retreat with me in September, so that you can be in an embodied state of your true essence and create the container. I am creating the container for you to really listen for spirit, for you to listen for revelation on what is yours to do and what this next chapter is asking for you. The thing is that when we're in times of change and transition, whether things are actually changing around you, there's transition, relationship, job, home, things have changed, or you just feel like something needs to change. The way that you're doing your work wants refinement. The way that you're loving and leading, you just feel like it's time for something new, a new octave or a new vision, a new God-sized vision, so that you actually feel passionate and inspired every day. So you actually feel like when you wake up in the morning, you can't wait to do what you're doing, because you are clear about what you're up to and why. I have created the environment for you to be able to do that listening, because I'm telling you, we cannot be spirit-led unless we take the time to listen and do transformational work where we alchemize this past version of ourselves and come into a new version of ourselves. That's the inner alchemy that we do together, so that you can actually be in alignment with the new version of yourself. And when there's a feeling like something needs to change, we all need to listen, to create the space to really listen. And if it's different than just going about our day-to-day and having that intention, mostly just ruminating, thinking about, we won't have the revelation we want. Every time I'm amidst a big change, I always give myself retreat. And I usually do some type of retreat quarterly, because you know what? Things are changing fast. And I am expanding my leadership. I'm saying yes to more. And the more that my life is requiring me to expand, the more I have to actually elevate more quickly. So I go into my personal retreats or retreats with my teachers and facilitators for myself, so that I can elevate and so that I can regulate my nervous system to be able to hold more and do more with more peace and more ease. It's not you do it one time, feel good and be done situation. Life is about ongoing elevation, expansion, refinement, and healing. Because also, and I'm putting the link in here right now, if you want to come on retreat, with me. And for those of you on Instagram, it's charleneparker.com/retreat. If you want to be there, I'd love to have you there. It's really the work of retreat time is, I don't know anything that's more powerful than getting into a room with other people who are committed to the same thing, who are coming together for the same reason, and creating that energetic field together. And I have tried to do these things for myself, and it's beautiful. And I encourage people to do self retreats as well, and to take time on your own. And every time I'm facilitated, it's profoundly deeper. And this particular retreat, the main intention of it is around clarity of vision. So not only will you create the space through vision quest type practices and working with nature and working with ceremony and working with our clearing out the fog and the haze and clearing out this channel, we will also be, before you leave, you'll have a plan. You're going to have a strategy for how to actualize this vision that's come through you. And that vision might be a personal, very personal vision. It might not be purpose in terms of work contribution related, but for most of you, it's going to be both. It's going to be, who do I want to be in this next chapter of life? How do I consciously design that version of myself? And what do I want to steward? What do I want to contribute? And what's my one thing that I'm really focused on in this next chapter? And the beautiful thing is that for anyone who signs up for today, so today is the last day for early bird. I'm ending the early bird today. So today it's 15% off the full price. And as part of the early bird, I also had an offer of a coaching session before and a coaching session after our retreat, which is about a $1,200 value. And I usually don't do offer just one-off sessions, but I decided for anyone who registers for the retreat today and today only, so you're lucky that you're here if you're feeling called, for today only, I'm going to actually make that session that we have before the retreat, which can happen as early as this next week. It's going to be a half-day immersion virtually, so that you don't have to wait till September to really get clear on how you're using your time this summer. Because if you're feeling like I'm feeling, you're feeling like it's not just summer playtime, it's summer playtime and summer creation time. Anyone else feeling that? Like, yes, it's summer, you want to be more social, you want to play, you're definitely going to be outside. And also, it's not your time to just kind of F off. Does anyone feel like July actually for you is you really want to move some things forward in your life? I'm just curious, put in the chat I'm curious if there's a shared energy there, because we can all be in different cycles, right? We have different birthdays, which means we have different astrological influences throughout the year. We have different family orientations. For some with kids, summer's different than summer without kids. I totally get that. But can you all put in the chat what you're feeling right now in terms of how, what's being called in you? Are you really feeling called to create? Are you feeling called to you need a sabbatical? What is actually wanted for you right now? What is your soul, your spirit, your heart really calling for you how to be this summer? Just please put it. I want to see, I'm curious where everyone's at. Awareness, reflection, rest, perspective, peace. Beautiful. Okay, so I love this for you, and I hope that you'll come join us on retreat, because this is going to be a space for you to really reflect and get new perspective and garner the awareness that you need, so that you can really cultivate the next chapter of life with more care, more love. And any retreat that I host is always going to be deeply nourishing. Trying to figure that out for yourself at the moment, right? You don't even know what you really want. You don't really know what's needed, how can you be intentional if you feel like you don't even know what your priorities are, or you don't even have an intention? And that's a really hard place to be in, because that's when we fall back into habits and patterns. When you feel like you're not directing and you don't really know what to even be doing with your life, with yourself, with your time. That is often when our insecurities, old patterns are most easily able to come up. Because if you have a purpose and your vision, it will have you be able to work through old patterns with more easily, because you have a why. Right? You need to sit with God more. Amen. Margaret, that's true for everybody all the time. I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there. Everybody all the time. Purging, creating biz, launch, calling in soul clients, artistry, rest, family, outdoor energy. Beautiful. So I love Oh, you're so welcome, Ilana. It's great to have you here. What I love about your intentions is that this is very whole. This is we have a whole life. I was just talking about this with my group clients, and someone was asking about feminine and masculine energies and that dance. And I took the conversation from talking about specifically feminine or masculine energies and just talked about wholeness. It's like, what is a whole life for you? Now, harmony or balance doesn't mean that every day looks the same or even every week looks the same, but it looks like when you're clear about your intentions, right? Like as an example, Ilana, because these can seem conflicting, but they don't have to be. But it might mean that one week this summer, there's way more focus on launching in your business and less focus on family and rest and artistry. Now, not so much where you then deplete yourself and then you throw yourself off, but there might be a whole week where it's like the priority is launch, and that's not out of balance. As long as then you're meeting your other intentions, that means that next weekend you make more time for your family, right? And so this is the life dance of creating a whole life where you're fully engaged with what you say is important. And you have to decide what is most important. Within business, usually it's one thing. And usually within life, you can really only have 3 core focuses at one time. Now, in a whole life, there's many focuses, all simultaneous. Absolutely. So I'm not saying all of a sudden you completely forget about, if you say these 3 things are my priority, that I let go of nature time. Like, let's say you say success and then intimacy are my 2 main focuses. It doesn't all of a sudden mean outdoor energy isn't important anymore, but you're putting it in service to your 2 priorities. So I know that I need to get outside in order to be clear enough and resource enough to be able to show up powerfully and consistently in my work. And if I want to meet multiple needs at once, if my other core goal is intimacy, then I'm going to invite my friends to go on a hike or go in the creek with me as the way that we hang out. So when you're really clear about what's most important, but you're also clear about what you need and what makes your life feel full and abundant and feel like really fulfilled, you can actually start to pay attention to how you are designing your life and be intentional about that. And you have to check in regularly because it's not the same cycle to cycle. It's not the same year to year. Different times call for different things, right? If there's one area of your life that's feeling really undernourished and then it's making you stressed out, take care of that. Clarity can be confusing. I don't know about that. You need to question that, because true clarity is not confusing. It's the opposite. Confusion is the ego. Clarity is spirit. Where there's in spirit, there's clarity, there's conviction, there's certainty. Your confusion is your self-doubt. Confusion comes from a lack of truly listening. Confusion comes from basically confusing what your ego wants versus what spirit actually wants for you. And so if any of you are feeling confused at all, even more reason to come on retreat, especially today, to register today when it's 15% off the full price, which ends tonight at midnight Pacific time, but even more so to do a half VIP day with me. There's many thousands of dollars. And that will be designed based on your personal intention. So Ilana, as an example, your VIP day could be that we're actually mapping out how to fulfill all of your desires in a way that really gives you the success in the areas that are most important that you want, where you don't feel distracted and you don't feel confused, but you're really standing in conviction about how you use your time, your energy, your attention, and your money to forward your life and to feel so deeply nourished, connected, abundant, thriving as you do it. As an example, right? For somebody like Love Day, who is trying to figure out what's even important right now, Love Day is going to be about really connecting and letting the vision be revealed. Aw, yay, Love Day. I hope that you come to the next one. I love having you on retreat. And just like with anything, this retreat is in Lake Tahoe, which is Northern California. You fly into Reno, Nevada, for those of you who can't drive there if you're not on the West Coast. And it's in September 7th to 11th. I'm going to put the link here again. The reason I choose Lake Tahoe is a couple of reasons. One, I've gone there a couple times for retreats, both as a group and as an individual, with the specific intention to have my God-sized vision revealed to me for clarity. You'll see in pretty much all religious texts the metaphor of going to the mountain. And when you combine the energy of mountain and water, the elements of mountain and water, it's very powerful when you go with intention on retreat and ceremony. September is gorgeous. We'll have hot days, mid 70s Fahrenheit, beautiful days, so that we can be outside, we can be in nature, we can work with the elements, we can go into the lake, out on the lake, be on the water, and also hike to the mountain for vision quests. But in the evening, it cools down as autumn's coming on, which is amazing balance, because then we can be more in cuddly, sweet mode by the fire, singing songs, praying, having cacao. And I love that combo where we get summer days and autumn nights, because it allows for us to work with the energy of the sun and illumination and be outside with it being comfortable and beautiful, and then allow for us to be in that more deeply nourishing nesting type space together as a community in the evening. And we're going to work with this quality of vision quest. So it's not a traditional, when I say vision quest, I don't want to get that confused with an actual fasting 4-day vision quest of the Native American traditions. But we're working with that energy of that intention. Right? We're going to work with the mountain and the water as a way to clear ourselves. And I'll be facilitating and guiding you so that it's not just you having to figure it out yourself, giving you enough guidance, prompts, meditation, facilitation, so that you can actually clear the channel and get really clear about what's really important, what really matters, and what you really want out of this next chapter of life. And not only that, but who you will have to become, what you'll need to change, what you're going to need to let go of, and how. And we're going to actually do that transformation work. We're going to do that awareness work so that you can let the old perception, the old identity of yourself that keeps a particular version of your life intact, can let that pass. Let that lovingly die in celebration of who you're becoming, which is more loving, more powerful, more clear, more effective, so that you can really make the difference in the world that you're here to make. Because being a spirit-led leader is bringing your full self, no holds back, and all of your glory shining without your doubts, without the thoughts about not being good enough, without all the ways you block yourself of that they're not going to like what I have, or they're not going to do this, or they're not going to. And we all have our versions of these ways we stop ourselves, where we limit our success, we limit the love in our life. Me too, I'm working out my own things, but I'm wholeheartedly committed to having spirit lead my life and doing the necessary work of loving myself more and creating the space and clearing out this container, shaking out all the BS over and over and over again. Because the thing is that as you say yes to something new and your life expands, you have to expand. So in order to hear your purpose, to connect to your soul, to connect to spirit, part of that is nervous system work, which we're going to be doing together, and attuning your nervous system. Like we share a lot of information when we're together in person. That is just different from when we're online. I love that we have this format. When we come together in person, we literally up level. We become new. We know ourselves as different, as new. Okay. And so this dance between being guided and being the creator, right? Having spirit lead, but also being the one who's intending and directing, is first and foremost a purpose that you bring into every day. You create the space in your life, like coming on retreat, to really listen for what is wanted for you. How are you here to create and serve? What's actually important, not what your ego thinks is important, but like, what does spirit want for you? And then you show up every day in alignment with that vision and those values. And you stay attuned every day to those. And you make sure that you are staying in resonance and alignment. And that check-in process and that morning practice process and that evening practice process, so that you don't get off track. Off track for you could be all of a sudden you get depressed, or you get anxious, or you get apathetic, or you get complacent, Off track could be that you start to do things in your business or your life that you're watching other people do, so you think you should, right? Those are different versions of off track. Off track could be that there's less and less intimacy in your beloved relationship. Off track could be that there's less trust with your children. These are kind of different versions of off track, which is what happens when you're not committed every day to being the best version of yourself, having your personal practices, raising your frequency, and putting yourself in environments and containers that help you actually get clear. And you will surely get off track if you do not have guidance in your life. A coach, a therapist, a teacher that's intimately in your life. Because they're the person that helps us reflect, help us see ourselves. It's very hard to see ourselves without somebody in front of us helping us. Think things through, talk things out, figure out what's ego versus what's spirit. And that's what my role is for in people's lives. I want to make sure that you are on track, that you feel that you're using your time amazingly. I feel like I didn't fully finish my thought earlier about the death piece, which was that I want to know that when I die, I really take my last breath feeling like I left it all on the table. I left it all on the playing field. I want to go a year from now, when I think about it being June 2024, I don't want to look back on the year and feel like I wasted time, because I've had years where I look back and feel like I wasted time, and it doesn't feel good. Now we're here to enjoy life. So I'm not saying to work all the time. I'm saying to use your time intentionally in the way that is yours to do for wholeness in your life. And to be really clear about what that is, so that you don't wonder and you don't have regrets. And you don't fall into patterns and habits that are not aligned with your vision and your values. One thing that I did a month or so ago was I had started watching shows pretty consistently. At the end of the day, I would often watch 1 or 2 shows in a series. Not every night, but it was becoming a habit, a pattern, which seemed okay because that seems to be what most people do. And also it turns out I actually really love watching a movie or a show. I didn't realize that I enjoyed it so much because for so many years I never even had Netflix or anything. I haven't had a TV in my house for over a decade, if it was my own home. But over COVID times and stuff, it started to become more of a habit. And while there's nothing inherently bad or wrong about watching a show or movie, what I recognized for myself was that the time that I was taking to watch a show could have been much more effectively used in service to what I want. That's either learning, using that time that I wanted to be on media to actually learn something new to forward myself. And a fun way to do that was I started watching a Joe Dispenza show on Gaia TV. So I still got that kind of feeling of, it's a produced, it's just him just talking, but there's also some visuals and stuff. So I still got a little bit of that feeling like I was watching media. Or I go to bed earlier. Because you know what, watching those shows is what I do usually when I'm tired. But you know what would serve my morning self a lot better is if I just went to sleep, even if it's 8 p.m. Or I stretch, or I meditate, or I roll out on my ball, or I journal, or there's so many things, or I call someone I haven't talked to in a while. So many things that if I use that 1 to 2 hours, if I did that, something like that every day, I would be forwarding my life. And I would feel much more fulfilled than if I was taking all of that time to just use it completely with no meaning. That was just one example of how it was a habit I picked up. I didn't used to do it. And then I decided to get into refinement. Now, it doesn't mean I'll never watch another movie or show again, but I'm being much more intentional. Right now, it's pretty much just on airplanes. That's just an example. I don't drink alcohol. I stopped drinking alcohol completely at the new year. I was not a big drinker to start with. but it feels way better for me to not put poison in my body. There's so much toxicity in the environment, in the water, in the food, that why would I want to make my liver work harder than it already is? Why would I want to put something in my body that lowers my vibration when the point is to keep my state high, my vibration high? Just another example. Yeah, most people use television as a distraction from being in the present moment. Exactly. It's like, I'm tired. I don't want to do anything else. So it's a distraction. It also is releasing like dopamine, and these shows are designed to get you addicted. So it is releasing these chemicals in your brain that make you feel good and want to watch it. And I was like, wow, I can see how my brain is getting addicted. Sometimes I wanted to watch the next show. I mean, and sometimes I did. Sometimes it's like I couldn't. I'm sure we've all been there, because if you have Netflix, you know that the next show just starts right away. And it's like, it takes willpower to turn it off and go to sleep sometimes. Yes, I'm not alone. Anyone else? So I'm saving willpower also by just saying, I don't watch shows right now. And actually saves me so much energy. Because same, if you're like, I kind of drink, but I kind of don't drink, as an example, every time you go to a bar, to an event, or to a dinner, and it's being offered, you have to use your will and discern and figure out and think about and use decision-making power to decide whether now is the time you're going to have a drink or not. It's much easier to be 100% committed to something than 90% committed to something. It's actually much, much easier to be all in or all out. So you don't have to think about it. And choices like this are what's supporting you to be available to be used by spirit. And this is that dance between being guided and being the creator. When you listen, there's always inner guidance available for you. But the creation part is that you have to actually be available for it. You have to actually be doing the work, be doing the practices, having the container, being on retreat, having a coach, having that in your life consistently as a way of saying, I am committed, spirit. I am committed to having my soul purpose manifested on this planet. And I will do whatever it takes. I will stop distracting myself. I will stop numbing myself. I will interrupt patterns. I will do the healing work on those patterns. I will create new patterns. I will create new habits. I will get out of my comfort zone. I will take risks. I will try things on newly. I will start to question who I think I am. I will pay attention to my perception. I will change my perception. I will look at everything that's showing up in my life. Right? Yesterday we talked about relationships. The passage I read you today it's not just relationships, the world. I will look at what am I perceiving about the world so I can see what I'm actually thinking. So I can be active about that. Because again, spirit wants to guide you, but if you're standing where there's depression, anxiety, overwhelm, fear, lack, you can't hear. So the active creation part is one, making sure that you do not let your feelings take you over in a day. Let your intentions and your vision lead you rather than getting wrapped up in your feelings. Remember that if you're not experiencing joy, that's just on you. You have to look and say, okay, I have to be the one to bring joy. The only thing that's ever lacking in any situation is what you have not brought to it. It is deep, but it should be empowering as well. Anything that is lacking from a situation, in relationship, in your work, your finances, and your health, is what you have not brought to it. And so I would love to support you to be that active participant in your life that is joyfully and out of love creating, because the joy of creation is literally what you're here for. You are here to create. You're both the creator and the created are one. You're here to reestablish this divine connection so that you have access to all your tools and all your power, where you start to cultivate your larynx, so that you know that your voice, your throat, your larynx is like the second sex organ. We create in matter through the lower sex organ, but we can start to create like God when we cultivate the larynx, the voice. Abracadabra, speak it and it is so. I want to help teach you how to start yielding the power of the elements in your favor. Start being able to say something and have it happen in your life. To be the person that has is able to create what you say you want. And this is what my one-to-one work is. This is what the retreats are about. I'd love to have you. So 2 things. One is that today is the last day for the early bird for retreat. And just today, if you register today without a call, but you just feel to be in the group retreat, I'm going to gift you a half-day virtual VIP day beforehand, so you can start to get really clear and aligned before we come together in September. And you'll get a coaching call with me after retreat for integration, to just help forward things in your life, make sure the plan is clear, etc. Okay. And if you're feeling like you want a full personal retreat, personal immersion, or you want to work one-to-one, then schedule a call with me. Michael, I know that you have one. And for anyone who actually does a full package with me, I am going to gift the group retreat just this week. So if you are wanting to work one-to-one with me and do a personal immersion, and you have that package, I'm going to gift you the Tahoe retreat. Okay, so for that, you'll want to schedule a call with me. I'm going to put that in the Zoom. And if you are on Instagram or Facebook, just send me a message. Instagram, don't comment, because I realize that if you're live on Instagram and you comment, I can't see the comments later. So send me an actual message and I'll send you the link. So if you just want to come on group retreat, no call needed, go ahead. You'll get the free half-day VIP day, and you'll have the early bird special and the bonus coaching. And if you feel that you want to have me in your life and you really want to have accountability and support and be doing this deeper alignment work every week, and to stay in the vibration of miracles, and to really start to be attractive and magnetic for all that you want, and stop pushing away the things that you really want, and you want to just feel supported and not alone in this life. I know what it's like to feel alone and like you're trying to figure everything out alone. And even if you have community and friends that you love and love you, there can still feel like ultimately I'm alone figuring this out and navigating this. And I want to be like the divine mother in your life who just shines light on you and gives you all the nourishment that you need to make sure that you have what you need to thrive. I want to be your ally who's like helping you get all the resources that you need. I want to be your spiritual advisor that helps you make decisions and connect to your soul. I want to be your greatest cheerleader. I want to be your accountability buddy that calls you on your shit and pulls you out of your stuff and has you really show up in the way that you really want to, and hold you accountable to what's important to you. So that's one-to-one coaching. And like I said, I'm doing a really special package right now. That's one-to-one coaching with a private immersion. That's just for you based on what you need right now, whether that's healing, whether that's clarity, whatever is for you. And when you have that package, you also get to come on group retreat. So this is a very rare, I never have offered something like this. I've never gifted a group retreat. It's very expensive for me to host group retreats. Like, just so you know, the price that is there, sometimes I don't make any money on retreats. In fact, the last 3 I did, just for transparency, I didn't make any money. The Ibiza retreat, Love Day, the Canada retreat. In fact, I lost money on the Ibiza retreat because it was so luxury. But I don't want to charge people $10,000, even though that's what it should actually cost for my retreats. And so to gift you them, it's really like I'm paying thousands of dollars for you to come on group retreat, because I want it to be easy for you to just, it's not easy to take a big risk and hire a coach ever. It never, sometimes it is, but it always feels a little risky. It always feels like a financial stretch for most of us, because whenever we're going to our next level, it requires us to stretch. And I want you to have everything you need to thrive. I want it to feel easeful for you to have all the support you need. I want to celebrate you if you choose to have me in your life and invest in yourself, because it's not about me, it's about you investing in you. And when you invest in you, because I work with people who want to make a difference. So I know that by me supporting you, it means that you get to support a lot of people. And there's so much more inside of you that is not tapped into. And it's time. And so the group retreat and the personal retreat, when you have those combined, is so profoundly transformational in your life. You will not be the same person after, and you'll be very, very happy about it. So schedule a call with me if you're curious about working together one-to-one or in personal retreat work. You can go ahead and book the retreat. Now, what I could say to you is if you know you want to come on group retreat and you're not sure about the rest of it, you can reserve your room so that you get the special. But then if we talk and you decide to do the full package, we'll put what you put towards the retreat towards the rest of the package. And I can do a payment plan. Okay. So if you know you want some of this, just get the retreat so that you have that special right away. And then you can find a time on my calendar. And the first two people, it's only the first two people. I didn't say that. The first two people are who are going to get the retreat bonus. Okay. So don't hesitate, Ilana. I hope that you'll schedule a call. I'm feeling resonance here. I'd love to support you. Everyone, thank you for being here. This has been a beautiful call. And for anyone that's here on Zoom, do you have any questions about what I've shared today, feedback, insights, revelations, anything you want to say thank you for? Or do you have a question about the retreat or working together? I'm here for a little bit longer if you want to come on and share anything. And for everyone on Instagram, I'm going to say goodbye. Remember to send me a direct message if you want to connect, okay? Anybody here on Zoom before we wrap up? Okay. All right, then we will wrap. Yeah, Michael, I'm so excited to talk with you tomorrow. And for anyone that what'd you say? Come up here, Ilana.
I just said thank you so much. Yeah, I'll book something on the calendar. So
yes, please do. Oh, I can't wait to meet you. It was really great to have you here, beautiful. Have an amazing day. And for anyone who was on yesterday and you tried to book a call like Michael did, that particular link still had my London schedule in it. So you might not have been able to find a time, but I've updated it because I'm in the US now. And so my timing is different. So Michael, that's why it changed when you looked at it again yesterday. So if anyone tried to schedule a call yesterday and you couldn't see a date and then you just gave up, which notice if you really want something, you got to take that second step. But there's times on my calendar now. So the Calendly is here for the calls. The link for the retreat is here. And I'm looking forward to receiving you and being with you soon. And I'll see you all tomorrow, same time. Okay. Bye.